Well, good Monday morning, Victory Monday morning, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is October 3rd, 2022, 7:15 a.m., and it is a raw, rain-whipped Monday morning. Fall is definitely upon us here in the Northeast. It's been like this probably the past 36 to 48 hours up here. Um, and I believe a lot of this is remnants of Hurricane Ian. And while mentioning Hurricane Ian, thoughts and prayers going out to Florida and all the southern states who were affected by this. Um, we see the devastation, the pictures and the video on TV. Just prayers for not a lot of loss of life and injuries. I do understand property in certain areas has just been destroyed and probably unrepairable, but you know the loss of life is a very big concern. So let's hop right in it. The Jets have only won in the state of Pennsylvania once. I mentioned this in my videos earlier last week and in my preview video. It was the 2010 season under Rex. They beat Big Ben in Philly in mid-December, and basically they went on to beat the Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, they won in Pittsburgh. I said Philly, um, and I'll tell you why I said Philly. They went on to beat Pittsburgh mid-December, and then went on to beat them in the AFC Championship game probably about 5 or 6 weeks later and lost. But this team never wins in Pennsylvania. They have never beaten the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season, and they have beaten the Steelers at home as a Jet home game, but only once in Pittsburgh. And yesterday, the Jets come out and they win in a game where I just the emotions were all over the place, and I'll tell you why. The Jets come out, and the first thing you're looking at is number one, they have a banged up offensive line, and you have Zach Wilson making his first start this year after playing 5 plays in the first preseason game. So you want to see what the young QB has. Is this our future? Is Joe Douglas going to have to draft another quarterback? Are we looking at another coach? I mean, there's all these things going on because the first 3 games, we can be honest with ourselves, they were 2 plays away from being 0-3. Um, and you could say, well, the ball bounces the right way in the Ravens game, 0-3. Even Cincinnati, at one point, they contained them. They were down by 15 points late in the game, but the team could not put it together. Um, so Zach comes out, and the Jet defense starts the game off, and you're looking at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is not the Steelers of Big Ben or whatnot. They lost Watt for the season. Trubisky was the starter. And I believe on the second drive, Trubisky throws a pick, and the Jets get the ball back. And Zach looked pretty good. And what I liked was that there was some balance of run pass. They were trying to establish that running game, but with a banged up offensive line, and eventually losing another player on the offensive line. So in 4 weeks, they lost 4 players. Um, they lost a rookie yesterday. I don't know the extent of it. Uh, and it's just like what's going to happen. This kid's back there, and yes, there were times when he was running and extending plays. There were times when he was throwing the ball when he shouldn't have been, and there were times where he was just hitting his target, hitting the bullseye. Um, excuse me. Allergies now to change the season. From what I can see, just by watching on TV, he has a nice deep pass. He has zip on the ball, sometimes too much zip. There were times where he tried to hit Brees Hall out of the backfield, and the ball was just thrown too hard. Um, he did throw the ball sometimes behind the running back. It seemed to me like a lot of his errors in passing were when the running back was his primary receiver or the intended receiver. Um, but Zach made the passes when he had to. It was distributed nicely, I have to say. Garrett Wilson had only 2 catches, but 2 big catches in the game. Um, I can't think of, I think Berrios had a catch. Brees Hall had a few catches. Um, excuse me, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, who had some big catches late in the game. Zach spread it around. Everybody was saying Wilson to Wilson. That will develop. But the Jets used, from what I could see, first of all, a lot of their playbook, and they spread it around to wide receivers. Yes, there was a point where every time they tried to run the ball, they lost 2 yards. There wasn't many big gains. I think they had less than 60 yards rushing combined. Um, but I like that LaFleur opened up the playbook more. And you can definitely see the difference. And don't disrespect Joe Flacco. He had that big comeback game against the Cleveland Browns. And but you can see the difference, just the agility and the foot and hands and everything on the younger quarterback. So, the Jets have been vanilla most of their offense the last few years. Nothing really out of the playbook. So the Jets get down inside the 5 yard line. They get down to the 2, and they've been trying to pound the ball down there, and it's a reverse to Garrett Wilson. And he takes the ball and he sells it perfectly, because as he's going from Zach's right to left, he takes it, he flips it to Berrios, who's going from left to right. And you figure, all right, Berrios is going to turn the corner, he's going to follow a block, and Zach Wilson kind of just tiptoes into the end zone, wide open. Berrios on the run tosses a nice 2 yard touchdown pass, and Zach Wilson catches it. First of all, to have that drive put together was great. To pull this play, the Philly special, like I said, I mentioned Philly earlier. The Philly special play call was great. The first time ever in Jet history that a Jet quarterback caught a touchdown. So the Jets are up 7-0. They eventually go up 10-0. And Trubisky, who started for the Steelers, is struggling. And the Jets get to him twice. Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson, and I'll mention Carl Lawson in a few minutes, got to him. Quinnen, who was the subject of some criticism from his coaches or whatever it was, he was in some of that drama this weekend, played a great game. I mean, he was all over. He was going left to right, right to left. He was really getting there. There were times when they couldn't get to the QB. So the Jets have the ball. It's basically 10-3. They're driving. They're in field goal range. You're looking at a 13-3 or possibly, 17-3 lead going into halftime. And Zach throws a ball up into double coverage, and it's picked off. Now, I thought it was a bad pass. I think the play call was a little bit too aggressive. You're in field goal range. Why go for the home run ball? But listen, then you say, why play for the field goal? But, it is what it is. You live and die by your decisions. The DB, it looked like one-on-one coverage. The DB broke off his coverage on one receiver and picked off the pass. So you're like, okay, let's get the defense in there. Let's hold them, 10-3 going into the half. And the Jets do just that. Only with no time left on the clock, Trubisky is hit with a roughing the passer to Carl Lawson. 15-yard penalty, puts him in somewhat a field goal range, a 57-yarder, and the kicker for the Steelers hits it. So you're looking at 10-6 instead of 10-3, 13-3, or possibly 17-3. It's a 6-point swing, big time. The Jets get the ball to start the second half, and they can't move the ball. And all of a sudden, Trubisky is done, and the first pick for the Steelers comes in. The only quarterback picked in the first round last year. Pickett comes in. Trubisky's day, he ended 7-13 for 84 yards and an interception. Pickett comes in, and you can actually feel the energy in the stadium pick up. He makes some connections, and next thing you know, Pickett is getting them downfield, and the Jets are down 13-10. Pickett rushed for a touchdown as well. He was yapping in Jet defenders' faces. There was one play where he was he was just mugged, and he got the ball out in time, hit his I believe his tight end down the seam, and I mean he was flying off adrenaline. But the young quarterback that he is, he did make some mistakes. Um, he finished the game 10 of 13 for 120 yards, three interceptions. He did have a rushing touchdown. The Jets get into the fourth quarter. There's 10 minutes left. They're down by 10. And again, you're like, what's going on with this team? They can't get anything going. They try to run the ball, try to establish the run. But little by little, every time Zach is called upon, third down, he's making his first down passes. Um, you know, some runs broke off, but he's making his passes, making his reads. Um, I will be honest, there was one play that I thought that Zach acted like a veteran on. Again, they opened up the playbook. It was, um, a, um, I'm sorry, a lateral pass behind the line of scrimmage to his running back. The running back threw it back to Zach across the field to get Zach to throw it downfield. Zach couldn't handle the pass back. Now, it's funny. He catches a touchdown, but he couldn't handle his pass back. The ball now is behind the line of scrimmage, so it's a live ball. Zach realizes now, he picks it up, he's running, okay? And he realizes now he's going to lose 13, 14 yards on this play because it's going to be a sack. He actually tosses the ball out of bounds. So it's an incomplete pass. To me, his head was in the situation. He knew what to do. He still has a lot to learn, but basically, they go downfield. They pick up some third downs. Corey Davis with some nice catches. Garrett Wilson gets a big catch. Corey Davis catches a touchdown, and he makes just a great move on the coverage. He makes like he's going outside, stops, cuts inside. Nobody's near him, and now all of a sudden, it's 20-17. The Jets kick off. They get to Trubisky. Sauce on great coverage forces the wide receiver not to tip the ball, and it's picked off by the Jets. Basically, I think it was on their 24-25, on their own 24-25. So they got to go about 40 yards to get in the field goal range. But it's now, you have enough time. What are you doing? And they start picking up time, but then lost a 3 on a run, a false start. You're like, they're going backwards. They're going to make this a terrible situation. It's going to be a long kick, and they overcome that. And again, they picking up yardage. The Steelers get 2 injuries. Or actually, the Steelers get 2 injuries. They lose 2 timeouts with under 2 minutes. The Jets lose a timeout due to an injury. But the Jets, at this point, I'm screaming, my follower's screaming, you're running the clock, call your timeout. And they get down to the 2-yard line. Clock is running. They have like 30 seconds. They bring the clock down to 18 seconds. They run the ball, and Breece Hall gets to the goal line. I jump up. I think he's in, and then you see the ball flop. And I'm like, it's recovered by Conklin, but they say they recovered it on the 1. You can't advance a fumble under 2 minutes, unless you're the fumbling player. They review it, and the ball crossed the plane. The Jets actually scored a touchdown. They take a 24-20 lead, which is huge with that extra point because now Pittsburgh's got to go downfield and score a touchdown, and they can't do it on the last play. The ball is picked off. The stats on Zach: 18 of 36, so he was completed 50% of his passes, 252 yards. 1 TD pass, 1 TD received, 2 INTs. 1 INT was his fault. Another INT was just a tip ball off of Conklin. I know they both go on his record. The Jets had a lead at 10-6. They were down 20-10 with 10 minutes left. They come back to win 24-10. Braxton Berrios with a perfect QBR rating. 1 for 1 for 2 yards and a touchdown. So it was good to see this. Another comeback win. I had them losing this game. So in the first 4 weeks, I had them at 1-3. I had them losing to Baltimore, which they did. I had them beating Cleveland, which they barely did. I had them losing to Cincy, which they did. And I had them losing to Pitt. And they surprised me. So they beat the Steelers. They go to 2-2 on the year, 2-2 in the conference, 2-2 against the NFC, the AFC North, which is great because they have Miami coming up this week. Um, Miami will have 10 days off before they play the Jets. They played Thursday night. They lost to the Bengals. They also lost um, Tua to injury. I don't know if it's a back injury, it's a head injury, but I know there was a lot of concern over why he was put back in that Buffalo game last week, and then he got severely injured Thursday night. The unaffiliated physician, so he wasn't affiliated with the team or with the NFL, or I don't know who he was affiliated with, has been fired due to negligence, and there has been an investigation launched. So the Jets go to 2-2. It feels good to see that because I thought 1-3. And let's face it, I'm not going to say the Jets should be 4-0. Not in any sense of the word. They could be 0-4. They had two double-digit comebacks in the fourth quarter. Cleveland and Pitt. They are also in that Ravens game for most of the first half. They just could not get anything going. And they were in that Cincinnati game by score, but not by momentum. So easily 0-4 to 2-2. I'm going to take the 2-2. I'm sure every Jet fan who looked at the schedule, except for the green wearing glasses wearing Jet fans, saw us at 1-3, or possibly 0-4. 2-2 is perfect where we are right now. We have the next four games: Miami over here at home, at Green Bay, at Denver, versus New England. New England was playing with their third string quarterback yesterday, and they lost a tough one to Green Bay. So New England, no matter who's behind center, as long as the guy with the hoodie is on the sidelines, they are still going to be a team to be reckoned with. So Jet fans, enjoy this win. Go on Sports Talk, listen to it, watch the highlights. I know I will be doing that throughout the day. Listen to callers call in. Also, I just want to go over the picks that I made last week, and I'm not a bettor. Once in a while, I'll go on one of the apps and put a bet in. So I picked Baltimore to beat Buffalo 24-20. Buffalo was up, I believe, 28-3. Baltimore was up 28-3. Buffalo came all the way back. They won. I don't know what I'm saying. Buffalo was losing, I think, 20-3. I think that was it. I'm not sure. They wound up winning 23-20. I had Baltimore winning this game, so I lost on that one. Jacksonville at Philly. Philly goes to 4-0. They win 29-20. I had them winning 28-10, so I won that game. Even with the spread, with a 6.5 point spread to Jacksonville, I hit that game. I didn't bet these. These were just my predictions. I picked the Raiders to beat Denver 23-21. I didn't like the spread. It was 2.5 for Denver. Denver loses 32-23. So I hit that one. And last night in Tampa Bay, there were times when Tom Brady looked like he was 110 years old. There were times when he looked like, Tom Brady from 4 or 5 years ago. I said KC getting one is going to win 30-17. KC wound up winning 41-31. Mahomes, Kelsey, that whole team is just ridiculous. So KC wins. So I went 3-1 on my picks. The Jets win. So it was a good Sunday for the Jets. Also, keeping in theme with New York sports, the Giants win. They also lost Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor to injury. We're waiting on reports by that. The Yankees, I believe, won 2 out of 3. Aaron Judge still looking for number 62. Preseason hockey started, and the Mets got swept by the Braves 3 games. So that NL East is going to go down to possibly the last game. So that was New York sports this weekend. The Jet family is sorry to say that offensive lineman Marvin Powell Drafted, I believe, in 1983, passed away at the age of 67. I don't remember Marvin playing. I started following the team in '84, but I wasn't really into the names of the players. Also, center Jim Sweeney, who I definitely remember playing the late '80s and early '90s when I started going to the games. Passed away at the age of 60. Jim was that blue collar lunchbox center that you used to see um, from the '70s and '80s. Before you had your Kevin Mawais and your Anthony Munoz and all those centers who could pull and whatnot. Jim was that in the trenches, guys. So our thoughts and prayers to their family, um, and a loss for the Jet family, of course. So check us out. We are The Takeoff. We are on Instagram. At The Jets Takeoff is our Instagram um, handle. We are able to be reached out to and contacted by email, thejetstakeoff@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page, The Takeoff. Please join it. And we are here at The Takeoff on YouTube. Please subscribe. I do at least 1 to 2 videos a week, a preview and a review. Anything that happens during the week that may come up, I may jump on and do a quick one. But check us out. We'd love to hear from you. Did you make the trip out to Pittsburgh? I know a few of the guys that I see at the games made their trip to Pittsburgh. And I always said this. I always said, I'd like to go to away games. I've been to one. I've been to Baltimore. Great sports city, I have to tell you. The whole city shuts down on Sunday when the Ravens play. But I never really went anyplace else for an away game for football. But to make that trek across Pennsylvania and have to see a loss or whatever. It's bad enough driving to MetLife to see them not play well, but to make that trip into enemy territory, really, it's rough when you lose. The trip back is long, so I know that everybody trekking back, whether you're on a flight, driving, I wish you safe travels. You're enjoying this trip back, so enjoy it. We have 24 hours. We have we got like 8 more hours to enjoy the Victory Monday. Then it's on to Miami, and let's go. 2-2. We play our first divisional opponent next week. Our first 5 games in the AFC. The first 7 out of the 8 actually the first 10 out of 11 are the AFC. So these first 11 games, and let's not get ahead of ourselves, are all conference and divisional games. You have Green Bay sprinkled in there before we play Chicago in Week 12. But we're going into Week 5, 2-2. Theoretically, yes, you can be 3-1, you can be 4-0, but 2-2. I am satisfied with 2-2 right now. And let's build off this win. Zach Wilson, get him going, get that playbook open more, get him more comfortable, and let's go. Have a great week. Have a safe week. Have a healthy week. Have a blessed week. A blessed week. However you say it. And we hope to hear from you very, very soon.